All right, so we all know strength and conditioning rule number one: train for the purposes of overload. This is the way that we get bigger muscles, stronger connective tissue, add size, strength, speed, power. I believe that this is a good foundation for younger developmental athletes, but then it hits a point where I feel like that starts to come with a little bit of a compromised return and really just kind of creates an inefficient model for optimal sports performance. So training for the sake of variability is where we kind of pivot from going to that, from that pure overload model, to then trying to work towards progressing things through the sake of variability and complexity. What this does, in my mind, is helps to bring life to strength, power, speed, function, etc. Essentially, when we think about training for the purposes of variability, the immediate thought is that that means that we're never going to load anything heavy ever again, and that's obviously not the case. What this really speaks to is really trying to find different ways to do similar things. So if I have, for instance, an RDL, rather than just using a barbell bilateral position and 5 to 10 pound increases over the course of time, I want to get to a certain point with an athlete where the strength parameters on an RDL are sufficient, but then I want to look to start to add different ways of doing that same pattern. So we can start by going to a single leg RDL, we can add tempos to that, we can use accommodating resistance, but then from there, we can go into more crossover patterns, we can do offset loading, we can do them with oscillating type of repetitions. There's a lot of different ways that we can dress things up, and I think ultimately, when we have a good foundation of strength and we've gone through our phases of mechanical overload, we then want to look to kind of go a different route and start to progress things and pursue variability within our movement.